So hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Martin Boulter, and over the coming weeks and months I'm going to be putting content out there to do with AutoCAD 2020 and Inventor 2020. So we're going to jump straight on into this tutorial, and we're going to start off with a rectangle the same size as an A3 piece of paper. And I'm going to put it at 0, 0, so it starts at the origin, and the dimensions are 420 by 297. So that's going to give us our rectangle of our A3 piece of paper. I'm going to offset the rectangle in by 10 mil because we need a 10 mil border on top, right hand side and the bottom. So I'll offset that in, and then I'm going to explode that inside rectangle so that I can offset the left hand border in by another 10 mil, so that overall we've got a 20 mil border on the left hand side. I'm going to trim out the bits on the left hand side so that we've got that 20 mil border. So I'm just going to quickly trim those. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check for my object snaps, my midpoint, make sure my ortho mode is on, and I'm going to put a vertical line and a horizontal line at the midpoint of the outside rectangle. We're then going to offset those through 50 mil. I'm going to start with the vertical ones, offset to the left, and then I will offset them to the right. Now I'm going to do the horizontal ones, and I'll go up 50 mil. And we're going to use these to put our numbers and letters, numbers across the top, letters down the side. So I'm going to join the inside rectangle so that I can use my X trim function. So I'm going to just join these lines together. And now I'll be able to use the X trim function, selecting the inside rectangle as the trim detail, the left click, and then just left click inside the box and it will delete that. I'm now going to offset the inside rectangle by 5 mil. And then I'll use the X trim function to trim out the little element between the outside and that rectangle. I'll then delete that rectangle that we've just put in, and there we've got the little 5 mil indentations to denote where our letters and numbers are going to go. So I'm going to use a multi-line text. It's in the drop down of the text selection box. Select that, and then I'm going to justify that into the middle center. So along the top with numbers, so I'm going to go along and put multi-line text boxes in all of the rectangles, numbering 1 through to 8, and justifying all of them to middle center. I was just trying to see if I could copy it there, but I think it's going to be easier if I just carry on doing the multi-line text. So we're going to do the letters now down the vertical side, still justifying them to middle center. So we'll create our multi-line text box and then we'll justify them to middle center. Could always use right click and then it's got the last repeated function, saves going up to the top every time. Either way works. Could be a shortcut if you wanted to do it that way. So I'm just right clicking, repeat multi-line text, creating the box, justifying to middle center. So last one to do now, because we'll copy them across. Now I see that I've put two E's there. I will change it in a minute once I've done the copying across. So we're going to click copy, select all the numbers. Then we're going to use the corner as our base point to copy from. And then what we'll do is we'll have to come down and use a bit of the AI function. So we'll select this point over here and then we'll hover that over there so that we've got these AI points, or these dotted greens, which will give us the exact point. Then we'll do the vertical letters. Same thing, copy, select all the letters. Then we'll select the point that we're going to copy from, base point. We'll use the AI again just to line it up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to change these to Fs. Just double click on them and you'll be able to change it to an F. We'll do that side and we'll do the right hand side. So now we need to go on and do our title block. So our title block is another rectangle. This is 180 by 30, but of course we're going back, so it's actually minus 180 by 30. And that will give us our title block. I'm going to put in the various offsets now, so I'm going to put a vertical line and then I'm going to do shift right click and use a temporary track point to track in the distance 30 mil and then come down. That creates that rectangular box. I will now use the offset command and I will offset this line in by 40 mil. I will then offset this line by 35 mil. And then we've got a series of 15 mil offsets, which we'll then trim out in a bit. But we're going to have 1 15 mil, 2 15 mil, 3 15 mil, and the last one 4 15 mil. So in the second box in, I'm going to use a temporary track point again, so shift right click, come down 10 mil and then across. I'll then offset that by 10 mil. And then I'm going to put a horizontal line through the entire box at the midpoint. and then I'm going to use the trim function and trim out some of the boxes where those lines aren't needed. So just copy what I'm doing here, copy which boxes I need to be trimmed out, and we'll put in our various different titles in a minute. The box on the far left here doesn't need a line in at all because that's where our logo is going to go. So we can now start doing our multi-line text again. So we'll select a multi-line text, we'll put in a multi-line box into the top here. We're going to keep the justification top left, and we're going to put in a technical reference with a capital T and a capital R, but the rest is lowercase. And then we'll do another multi-line text box. This one will justify to the left and center. So middle left, and here I'm just going to input the word name in capitals. So as you can see, they're tight up against the corner, but first what we'll do is we'll change the text height of the technical reference from 2.5 to 1 mil. Close that window down, and now we just need to move them in because they're tight up against the border, so we'll just click the point, move them in 1 mil and down 1 mil for the technical reference. That will get it off the border. For the name, we'll just bring it in 1 mil. And now what we're going to do is copy that into all of the rest of the boxes. So we'll copy, we'll select the corner of the box, and then we'll just go around copying them in to all of the boxes. And then in a minute we'll come back and change the title of the box. There we go. So second box down, we need to change this to our created by. The next box down, we need to change that to approved by. Then this next top box will become document type. And the box under that will become document name. Now this next top box will be the size. Then our revision box underneath. This box will become our scale. This box we're going to delete because that's going to be our third angle projection, which we'll have to draw in a minute. But the box underneath will be date. And I'm actually going to put in there the form of which it needs to go in. So it's the year as YYYY, so 2018, 2019, whatever it is. Then the month, so 06, 07, and then the day. The final box along the top here will be our part number. And the last two boxes along the bottom here. This one's language. And the box next to it will be sheet. Now I'll leave the names as the same. I'll just keep them as name, so it will remind you that you need to fill it out when you've done your drawing. But the next section, what we'll do is we will now look at the logo and importing the logo. So I'm going to go over to Google and select our logo. So I'm going to use the City College Plymouth logo. You want one that fills the area, so as either a PNG or JPEG. So I'm going to save this to my hard drive. I think I'll just put it in downloads for a minute. Save it. And then what I'm going to do is go and find that file, and I will in File Manager, and I'm going to right click on it and open with Paint. Now what I'll do is I'll do a Control A and then Control C. So Control A is select all, Control C is copy. Come back into AutoCAD and then press Control V, which will then be out, and I'll then place the image. I'll go to Properties. I've got to unlock the aspect ratio, so that needs to say no. The width and the height, we know it's 30mm, both of them, because it has to fit in that box. I can close that down, and now I can move it into that box. Oh, shouldn't have done that, so we'll Control Z that, go back. We'll just select move the bottom left hand corner, and then we'll copy it into that box there. So the last thing we've got to do now to fill this out is our third angle projection. So we'll just find an area off the screen, draw a vertical line that is 1mm height. We're going to offset that by 1mm to the left hand side. Do that again. 1mm. Select the line, offset it 1mm. We then need two lines at 165 degrees. So I'll just tab across, put in 165, hit enter. Then I'll do another line, 165 degrees, so tab across again, 165, and now I'll trim out some of the lines as I'm showing now. So I'll use this line as our trim line, trim that line out and that one. Repeat the trim, so I get rid of these two little sections here and here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple of circles, and I'm going to draw them right on the end of this this area. I'll put my ortho mode back on for this circle, because what I'll do now is I'll move them off to one side. So I'll select that circle and the inside circle. My base point will be the middle, and then I'll move it off 1 mil to the left hand side. So now put our centre mark in, so just type in centre mark, select the inside circle. That's great, we've now got our centre mark. I'll just drag the lines back in a bit. We'll have to pull them back out again in a minute, but it just makes it a little bit easier for moving around. So I've pulled them all back in, those three into 1 mil, and then this right hand side one pulled it back into 2.5 mil. So I'm going to select the whole lot now and then go to move. I'm going to do shift right click again and midway between 2 points. Do that quickly again. So select it all, click move, shift right click, midway between 2 points, and go midway between these 2 points. Now I've got it in the center there. I'm going to put it at the midpoint of this vertical line here, and then what I'll do is I'll move it again, and I'll offset and I'll move it 7.5 mil to the right hand side, which will put it in the middle of that box. Put my ortho mode back on, type in 7.5, and there we go. So I'm going to select it all now, click scale, then shift right click again, midway between 2 points, between there, and now I can scale it up so that it fills a good portion of the box. And then going to drag the center mark points out by another 1.5 mil on these 3 points. This one will be 6.5 mil. Now it should be a dash dot line, so the line type scaling, so I'll select it, right click, hit properties, and I now need to change the line type scaling so we can see the dash dots. I think 0.1 is going to be a bit big, yeah, so I think we're going to put in 0.05. Yep, that's much better, so that will work for our third angle projection symbol. So we're now ready to move this into our layout. So I'm going to click layout. I'm going to select this and get rid of this for a minute, because this is our viewport box. We don't need that for a minute. We need to change the paper, so the paper space, so that we page setup. So we come down to print, page setup, modify our layout 1. Our print is going to be our DWG to PDF. Our paper will be our ISO full bleed A3 420 by 297. There it is. Click OK. Click close. Now that's the right paper size. So we'll go back into our model space, highlight the entire work, and then we'll do right click, clipboard, copy with base point, select the bottom left hand corner, go back into our layout. We'll then do Control V, which will paste it. We've got to zoom in and we've got to line this corner up as best we can, because there's no object snaps here. There we go, that's in our layout. We'll delete the outside rectangle, because that's just going to be over the edge of the paper. So this is our drawing layout done. Click back into model, delete our model, and then we'll go and save it as a DWT file onto a memory stick. So I'll find my memory stick, be in the drop down. There we go, down there. And we will save, I'm going to save it as BS8888 A3 template. So I know that that's the British Standard template that I'm going to use from now on. So this is the end of this tutorial. I hope you've got all of it. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more content to do with AutoCAD 2020 and Inventor 2020. If you've liked what you've watched and it's worked for you, hit that like button, and also add any comments for any future content you want to see, and I'll try and put something together for you. Thank you very much for watching.